Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and before we get to talking about Celtic's big Europa League game on Thursday night, you bet that Celtic are able to fit in just a little bit of nonsense before that. Just as we try and focus on the actual football, the club give us more reasons to think that they're taking the piss. So we're going to talk about that. We've also got some news surrounding a recently released player that has been offered to the club. So a couple of big stories. Let's get the whinging out the way, shall we? If you haven't already, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. It would be much appreciated. Remember, you can become a channel member using the link in the top line of the description or the join button below this video. For everybody who was a big fan of the OG Ryan118 FIFA 17 career mode, over the next few weeks, we'll be playing career mode on the channel members section. So head over there if you want to watch that. Today we're going to be talking about real life Celtic. And I know some people are fed up of the moaning, the whinging and everything else, but they are taking the piss. And today, well, yeah, they back up all of that. So we are coming up to 1 month since Celtic fans, through supporters buses, through fan organisations and fan media outlets, signed a huge open letter to the club asking for answers to very easy questions surrounding the running of our football club and why we're in the position we're in right now. A massive club, a huge club that's been knocked out of the Champions League, that has regressed badly throughout the summer transfer window. We weren't asking for very much, and almost 30 full days on from that open letter, we still await an answer from the club. We have seen numerous protests now that extend over Rugby Park, over Firhill, Celtic Park, and we've seen banners in the stands asking for answers to our questions, probing the deafening silence of the Celtic board, and yet we still have nothing. A couple of piss poor statements from the club which essentially give no accountability, take no accountability, for the actions of the guys running the club. But yet, they still know how to flog a product, and shamelessly, they've pushed out one of the most loved icons in the history of our club to try and flog some shitey merchandise instead of answering these questions. This is the board that some people continue to defend, by the way. I woke up this morning and saw this. 9 o'clock it was posted. Celtic are delighted to unveil the brand new Henrik Larsson collection today, available to purchase online and in Celtic stores. That was posted at 9 o'clock this morning. Shameless. And throughout all of this that's going on, under the current climate that we find ourselves as Celtic supporters, they have wheeled out Henrik Larsson to try and calm the tension, to try and make peace with the support. And poor Henrik being shipped out there helplessly, even he can't cure it, even he can't bring us peace, because some of the comments are just brilliant. I'm going to highlight some of my favourites right now. How many more tits does this cash cow have left? I'm monitoring the situation. If I give yous money, will you start scoring goals? Does this mean he will play up front? And then simply put by Paul, absolutely no shame. And that last comment by Paul is perfect. Absolutely no shame at all. And, you know, some people might be sick of Celtic fans moaning. I've seen comments, oh, give it up, focus on the football, oh, stop whinging, you know, we'll come back to it next summer, just focus on the team. This is exactly why we can't focus on the team. Because in a time where we're genuinely concerned for the good of our football club, this is the shite that they're pushing out. You know, they won't go on social media and talk to the supporters honestly. They won't answer the questions. They won't tell us what the plan is for the future of the club that we're also concerned about. No, they'll whip out Henrik Larsson. They'll throw him out there to sell us some average merchandise to try and fill that void. And it's pathetic. It's the timeless and classic Celtic marketing ploy to try and avoid tough questioning. And with the current climate leading to an AGM that's only down the road, you think that something would push them over the edge to at least start some dialogue. No, just give us all your fucking money. And before all the bootlickers come for me in the comments section, I know, right? I understand how merchandise works. I understand contracts have been signed. I understand endorsement deals have been put down for Henrik Larsson and been put down with other brands who might be involved in this. I understand you can't just get yourself out of that, no matter how shit things are going. I understand that this is a merchandise line that would have been launched if Celtic were doing brilliantly at the minute. I get all of that. But the fact of the matter is, you know what you're doing, and you know how much it's going to test the Celtic supporters. And I get it. I feel sorry for the poor guy that's on the other end of the Twitter account who's had to post this at 9 o'clock this morning, knowing exactly what the response is going to be. But you can't blame Celtic supporters for that response when you're continuously testing them and continuously just begging for the money that you're not reinvesting. What's going to happen when you get those few people that will go out and buy the Henrik Larsson collection over the next few months leading up to Christmas? What's going to happen with their money that they invest in this? Is it going to get spent, or is it going to get harboured for your bonus checks like everything else? That's the conversations that we're walking into here, and fans can't be blamed for that. And there's a reason that there is public outrage underneath this tweet. It's just going to continue happening. At least have some dialogue, at least have the balls to come out and talk to the supporters before you start posting about your merch, because it's sickening. It's absolutely sickening, and continuously as Celtic supporters we are being kicked in the balls for loving our club. I mean, 57 quid for a quarter zip with a tiny wee badge on it. No offence, Henrik, I love you, you're gorgeous. Look at you rocking that quarter zip. Nothing on you. £35 for a black t-shirt. This is and then there's some cheap fucking mug collection with a beanie hat. Like, this is what they're trying to flog to us in times like this. And do you know what's even funnier? This is just a relaunch of some shite the club tried to sell last year at Christmas time. They've just changed the colours, and that's it. You know, this sums the club up. They're just flogging all the cheap shite to those that'll lap it up. And, we're constantly taken advantage of. This is where we are. This is where we are. And I know some people go, "Oh, grow up, Ryan." I'm sorry, but it's embarrassing. It's utterly embarrassing. They detest the average supporter. And I'm not going to bang the same drum I've been banging for weeks. I know I sound like a broken record, but it all just proves how little they care about us and how much they only care about the money in our pockets. Don't go and give them the gratification of buying these shitey sets and these gifts and cheap bits of merch from the superstore. Don't give them the satisfaction. Look, I'm not here to police what people do with their money supporting the club. If you want to go to the games, you want to buy the merch, do whatever you like. But if you have any brains about you, don't be going into that superstore and buying this crap. Don't do it. Because you're just aiding to the problems that will forever plague this club. There is no self-awareness. And once again, I will reiterate, I understand that they have contractual agreements, that they have dates that they need to adhere to that are probably signed well in advance of all the failings we've seen this summer. But at least preface it with some conversation. At least preface it by having the balls to answer the questions your supporters have put across to you. This is what they see us for. Lapdogs that will give them money at any given opportunity. Don't be that guy. Be better than that. Don't buy this crap. The worst part is, in 30 years, they'll still be wheeling Henrik Larsson out to sell stuff when we're moaning. Let's talk about some actual footballing news, and let's escape the whinging and complaining for a moment. There was an exclusive that broke last night that Celtic have been offered a now free agent who has just been released from his contract in Ligue 1 in France. Now, this came out of nowhere. I don't necessarily expect it to lead to anything, but it is quite interesting because it would be a player that technically Celtic should look at. It comes in an area of the pitch where I think most fans agree we are quite light. So apologies for a brief moment. I would like to offer a correction. I did say Ligue 1 a moment ago, forgetting that Saint Etienne have been relegated into the second division of French football, which ties into the reason he's been released. We'll come on to that in a moment. However, Mark Hendry wrote this afternoon that Celtic and Rangers have both been offered ex-Ligue 1 star after his contract has been ripped up. A former Sunderland player as well. You may recognise the name Pierre Ekwa. The article goes on to say that the summer transfer window is finished, but recruitment staff at both Celtic and Rangers could and should be always looking ahead. We understand that versatile Frenchman Pierre Ekwa has had his Saint Etienne contract terminated by mutual consent and is on the lookout for a new club. Now this comes after I think a bit of a disagreement with Saint Etienne. It goes something along the lines of this. They got him on loan last year from Sunderland whilst in League 1, and after being relegated, I think they triggered a release clause that was in his contract or in the loan agreement. He didn't want to play in League 2. He made the permanent switch, and he refused to play for them in League 2. Something along those lines. It's all very silly. I think they've had a big falling out. Saint Etienne have cut ties with the player. He's now a free agent, and Celtic and Rangers have both been offered the player. Now, if you go and look at his profile on Transfermarkt, some people might look at it and go, let's talk to this guy. 7 million euros he's rated at. As we said, he was signed for a fee of roughly in the region of 6 million euros. Played 29 times in League 1 last season, but he's a defensive midfielder. And it's an area of the park that Celtic have struggled in recent times. And a lot of questions have been asked about Callum McGregor. Could this offer a short-term solution in that area of the park, especially as we embark on a potential European journey here? Capped 5 times for the French under-20s as well. Played a lot for Sunderland in the Championship a couple of years ago. Really stood out for them before his move to on loan to Saint Etienne. Somebody that's pretty experienced, 23 years of age, and has a lot of first-team football under his belt, and now apparently been offered to Celtic. I think a lot of people might like the look of this. However, I do have my reservations, mostly coming in the form of what's happened at Saint Etienne. Is there attitude problems to be aware of? Why even sign for Saint Etienne and then refuse to play in League 2? I need to read more into what's happened there, but from what I have seen, he agreed to move to them in August and then very quickly refused to play for them. That doesn't exactly spell team player to me, and there would be some concerns that I have there. But it would offer a solution outside of the transfer window for Celtic between now and December. Now, the only problem is you wouldn't be able to play him in European football until those games after the Christmas period. He couldn't play in the games up until January. So he would be a domestic signing only. But after that, when the going gets tough and you have the games that really matter in Europe, you now have another defensive midfielder in your team. So I think people will be like, do you know what? Let's go for it. It's a really intriguing one if there is truth in the story of him being offered to Celtic, which I wouldn't put out the realms of possibility. I always just have a little bit of reservation when I see Celtic and Rangers linked in the same article. I don't doubt Mark Hendry for a second, though. He's usually quite on the ball with Celtic-related information. Of course, was very reliable throughout the summer transfer window. And listen, I don't think it'll go anywhere. I don't see the club going for it. I can see them passing up on it. I don't think anything will truly come of it, but it is interesting his name's been thrown about, so we'll wait and see what happens with that. Let me know your thoughts. Should Celtic be considering bringing another defensive midfielder into the team? One with a bit of physicality about him as well, a bit of presence. Might be something to think about, but yeah. Right, that does it for today. If you've enjoyed, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. We'll be back tomorrow before the European game with a Celtic the Thunder podcast. So we'll be previewing the game in a lot more depth there. Until then, take care of yourself. God bless, and I'll see you all next time.